To the channel, and today we're going to talk about some MCP. We've just had the new updates drop from Marvel for Marvel Crisis Protocol from AMG, and yeah, I figured we will do some hot takes, have a look through the changes they've made together right now. So we've got a few tactics cards first up, which look to me just to be a little bit of clarification on the wording. The only real one that has made a significant change is Mutant Traitor. The 5 cards we've got are Seven Sons of Cinnabus, Vapors of Valtor, Magnetic Crush, Mutant Traitor, and Astral Ring. Again, these all just look like they are clearing up and bringing the wording in line with how AMG are preferring to word their things now. Let's say the Mutant Traitor seems to be the one that has got the biggest change, I guess, in that I believe the way it works now, Bishop can only damage himself once rather than multiple times. So not a huge amount there. It's nice to see Magnetic Crush getting some love, if it is only just to clear up a little bit of the timing on that. So into the characters. I'll pop these up on the screen as we go through. First of all, I'm going to jump through. I won't do these necessarily in order. There's a few characters in here that have received only minor changes, so we'll touch on those first. And when I say minor, there is Cosmic Ghost Rider in here, who has actually received no changes. This is just putting in his updated card from, I don't know, 6 months ago, even a year ago now, is it? So yeah, bit of a shame there's nothing changed on there, and this was one of the 12 characters that was updated. But it's there, it's print and play, we have access to it now. So, characters that haven't had a huge amount of change. We're looking at, first of all, X-23. So, a bit of a sideways buff nerf, whichever way you want to look at it. She lost the Adamantium Skeleton, so that was the ability that when she was thrown or placed or pushed, she would count as size 3. So it means she's now open to being thrown and pushed by lower size powers now. But if she's coming in contact with teammates, she's not going to be causing as much damage. So sideways nerf buff, whichever way you want to see it. Main change on her then, other than that, is just Frenzy. The timing has been clarified on that, and this is similar to a few characters that we're seeing in this update. Effectively, it just clears up that the power is used after the attack is made, so you can generate the power to use Frenzy. Which I believe I was always playing it that way anyway, so I may have been playing it wrong for a while, but it is a lot clearer now. So when this character dazes or KOs an enemy character with an attack during its activation, after that attack is resolved, which will include the power generation, this character may use this superpower. She can then advance and makes an adamantium slash attack, can only be used once per turn. And this is similar to a few of the characters we're seeing. So that's X-23, Laura Kinney. Next up, as we scroll through, Angela, very much the same. Her wording on Angelic Assassin just gets the same update, so she can generate the power to use the superpower and then use the superpower to advance and strike. If not, it's a little bit of a shame we didn't get more of an update to Angela. She's a character that, I don't know, I don't see her used that much in Asgard. I mean, I don't know if it was because Asgard was a very much maligned faction and underused up until the latest box drop with Mighty Thor, Hero of Midgard, Loki, Prince of Lies, and Sif. But I don't know, she's a 5 threat that, outside of having that niche bit of she can do the midline grab because she's on a medium base with a long move, I don't feel that she keeps up with the rest of the 5 threats in faction, even with original Thor after his update. Maybe this Angelic Assassin update will help that. I don't know, but I think it was a slightly missed opportunity to have done something a little bit more interesting with her there, which is a shame. But, if you're a fan of Angela, you've got a slight buff there. Next up, Heimdall. Again, I think this was a bit of a missed opportunity. All he's had done here is the All-Seeing Eyes has been buffed up to range 4. Nothing to help his power generation here that I can see. Nothing in the notes from AMG about that. It's just that range 4, so he can support from a bit further away, but having the power to do that support, that's still a problem for Heimdall, unfortunately. So, minor ones there. Now, Bishop got a very minor wording change, but actually does have a big impact on the way he operates. So his overload was previously in the power phase, so if he had 8 or more power, he would suffer a damage, which meant often when he was flipping onto his injured side, he would wake up with a bunch of power and immediately take a damage, dropping him down to 4 health, so effectively making him a 10 health character, which for a 4 threat isn't great. I mean, we see a lot of 12 health 4 threat characters. He was already a little bit under the curve, I'd say, being a 6-5 there, and then effectively waking up and being a 6-4 wasn't nice. So that's moved to the cleanup phase now, so he's not taking damage when he wakes up. So again, nice quality of life thing for Bishop, not really changing a huge amount on him, but the one thing that was kind of a bit irking, I think, for a lot of players has been changed, which is great to see. Nightcrawler, again, he's nothing major here. It's just a slight change onto the timing for some of his superpowers. Again, not making a massive difference. It's more of a clarity and quality of life thing than making things particularly better or worse for him. Agent Venom as well. We've seen a change to the Project Rebirth 2.0 power. Previously, this was that he could remove a condition. It's now more in line with how Blades works, which is perform a shake action. There was a very niche scenario where if you're in range of Crystal, who prevents shake actions, you had a bonus being Agent Venom over Blade. So they've just clarified that that's now makes a shake action rather than removes a condition. I'm sure that probably has a few other synergies with a few other bits, where he's not removing conditions rather than doing a shake action. Bullseye and Toad are the 2 threats that have seen a little bit of a nerf, because AMG already talked about this a little bit. They felt that they were the two threats that were performing a bit above the curve, that were taken a little bit too prolifically, and just could do with bringing in line. Bullseye is a very simple change. His throwing knife is dropped from range 4 to range 3. To be honest, this isn't going to stop me taking him. I still think he's absolutely brilliant. The crises are generally a little bit more compact now anyway, so getting into that range 3, yes, it puts him in the mix a bit more, but I was generally playing him fairly aggressively anyway. He still has that parting shot, so even if he is up in range there, he can spend 2 power, leg it out of there, do some damage. He's still got the ability to generate the power off the throwing knife. I never miss to still do an automatic 1 damage if he fails to do anything with the throwing knife. Pincushion, his spender, still 4 power, still range 4, still ignores cover, still has automatic rapid fire, still gives out bleed, still a brilliant power. 5 dice, automatic rapid fire is just brilliant. Still has the hit and run. So yeah, other than that, it's just that minor change to the throwing knife. So he's not just back point sitting completely at range 4 and being a pain in the ass. Toad is the other one that just said has also had a change. So a little bit different to what I was expecting based on what AMG had kind of announced. But most of it is still in line. He's a little bit more done than our friend Benjamin Poindexter. So his health has been balanced out. Previously, he was 5 on the healthy side, only 3 on his injured side, which again put him a little bit above the curve for 2 threats. Same overall health pool as most of them. However, just when combined with Slippery, trying to get through that 5 health was just an absolute nightmare. So 4 health now. It just makes him that little bit less survivable as a 2-threat should be, in my opinion. And clearly in AMG's opinion, that's what we wanted to see. He's still got the same health pool, still tougher to take down on his injured, and now a bit tougher to take down on his injured side. So yeah, quality of life, I think that helps. I don't think it's enough to put people off Toad completely. I'm certainly not put off using him. The other thing that has changed, and I think for a lot of people facing Toad is a welcome one, is that the tongue lash has removed the push trigger and has been replaced with a wild poison. Makes sense, he's got a poison tongue. The push, again, I just found this a little bit oppressive on at range 3, 4 dice on a 2-threat, being able to displace enemies as well as easily displace himself. Just made Toad just a no-brainer choice, which is why we were seeing him everywhere. Again, that raises a few questions now, whether he will be as ubiquitous and seen as often as he was previously. The hop for his place, his slippery, and his prehensile tongue, they're all unchanged, so he's still interacting from range 2. He's still got the ability to just leg it out of there when he gets attacked. He can still pass around objectives. He still does everything that he was doing before. He just hasn't got that added bonus of being able to displace characters quite as easily and isn't quite as tanky on that front side. So yeah, nice change for Toad. Puts him more in line. I think there's a good, solid question to be asked when you're looking at 2 threats to go in your roster. Who do I want to take? So those are the 2 nerfs to characters. So, going on to characters that have received quite a significant change. And first of all, we'll look at Gambit. So, Gambit, his card was already spoiled over at Adepticon. We already knew what was happening with there, but we'll talk about it anyway because I've not talked about it on this channel. So, Gambit, his bow staff, I believe, is still the same. That is still range 2, 4 dice. And has the push trigger on a wild for size 3 or less. The kinetic ace, however, has changed quite a bit. It's gone to being an energy attack from being a physical attack. Has lost a dice, so it's now only 4 dice. And the explosive trigger, I believe the explosive trigger has changed a bit as well. 52 card pickup, his spender has also changed. It's dropped down in cost. And the trigger was previously allowing him to get 2 hits for each wild. It's now a double wild trigger to cause stun. So far, not looking great for Gambit. These would all seem like nerfs initially. His little something extra hasn't changed. He can still spend 1 power, change 1 hit to a wild. Enhanced agility is still there, same as parting shot for Bullseye. After he's had an attack resolved against him, he can spend 2 power, cause 1 damage, and advance away short. In fact, no, it's not advance away, is it? No, he can just advance short, so that's brilliant. I'm not sure if that's the same on Bullseye or not, actually. Either way, he can just advance short, so he could get in the mix there if he wants. The big change for him, though, is this superpower. The cards will always be in my favour. Whenever this character is attacking, defending, or dodging, each wild counts as 2 successes, and this is brilliant for Gambit. Tried him out a couple of times now, and yeah, he really lives up to his name now of the Gambit. If you get those wilds, he can spike massively. Combined with a little something extra to turn one of those hits into a wild, you can really ramp up the power here. And you can understand now why that kinetic ace went down from 5 dice to 4 dice. Because at range 3, sending out 5 dice, the math, I think a few other podcasts have worked out, it just becomes a little bit insane. Defensively, also makes him potentially that little bit tankier, getting that extra defense for rolling a wild. Again, it's only a 1 in 8 chance of getting the wild, but it's certainly helpful. And the fact it works on dodges as well. I really like Gambit now. I liked Gambit before. I was always a fan of the character from the X-Men TV show, and it was a shame that he didn't get as much love on the board as I felt he deserved. But this card update, I think, has definitely made him really, really exciting. There's a few different places that you can experiment with him in. I think using him in the Captain America First Avenger, where you've got the ability to change the dice, modify the dice into a hit, similarly to the M'Baku leadership. You can just really double down offensively on getting those wilds. In his home X-Men, probably most useful under Professor Xavier, actually. That little something extra. It's a one power superpower, so allows him to pretty much every turn, as long as he can attack, he can start generating power for the rest of his squad, which I think is really, really helpful. Generally against, but I think he'll work well in any X-Men force. I've tried him out in X-Force with Cable to get that little reroll on there. Is helpful. So yeah, but I can see Gambit popping up in a few different places. I think he really, really adds to Apocalypse now as well, and is an excellent death or famine choice. So next up on the big changes, let's stick with the X-Men. And we have Colossus. As soon as I find him on this document. So Colossus had already undergone one change, and we've seen yet another one for him. So previously, he'd gone from being a slow mover to a medium mover. They'd changed his bodyguard to more of a taunt. And I can't remember exactly what else, but in my opinion, Colossus was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed playing against Colossus. He was always a big threat, and just getting the medium move meant he was speeding around the board a lot better, especially with that medium base. Yeah, they've just gone and made him even better. So where do we start? He's got a wild push on the strike now rather than the concussive, and it's size 4 or less, so the amount of displacement, and you'll see a bit of a theme here with the displacement that Colossus can do now, is pretty huge. So yeah, he can now push size 4s on his strike. His X-Slam has now got a wild throw on it. And again, this is size 4 or less as well. So that is a range 3, 7 dice for 3 power, wild throw, and throw it short. And it's any direction as well, it's not throw it away, which is very nice. His playing catch hasn't changed. His superpower where he can throw terrain of size 3 or less. That's only size 3 or less, but you can remove size 4 characters, so but that's still pretty good. It's a medium throw as well. That's good. Big Brother has changed, so AMG have gone through this mechanic a few times now to try and crack it. So it remains effectively a taunt, but it has a few other little bits in it. So I'll read it out. When an enemy character within range 4 of this character targets another allied character with an attack, this character may use a superpower. If this character is within range 2 of the attacking character, this character becomes the target of the attack regardless of range and line of sight. So that's your standard taunt. Other than, so we've got a character within range 4 is being attacked. This next line is the bit that makes it a little bit different. So otherwise, so if you're not within range 2 of the attacking character, otherwise, after that attack is resolved, advance this character towards the attacking character short. So Colossus is now really trying to get in the mix. It's only a short advance, but he's got that medium base. He's going to be all over the place. And again, this is another one that can be used under Apocalypse. Another big buff there for Apocalypse and for X-Men. I can see Colossus being, again, an absolute staple. He was already in good contention for Pestilence. He's going to be getting up the field even more now to do those Pestilence bombs. Really like it. He's still tanky as anything. He's got the Bosmoy. I'm probably butchering how that's said. So he's got the add 2 dice to when attacked by physical or energy. He's still got his innate damage reduction to a minimum of 1 and can't be pushed. Yeah, he's going to live up to his name. He's Colossus, and he's just going to tank everything. And then we have his sister, Magic, Ilyana Rasputin. So she's had a few little tweaks here. So firstly, her health has gone up to 6 on the front side. It remains 5 on the flip side, but that's fair enough. That's, again, generally a little bit above the curve for a 3 threat. We usually see these as a 5-5 as Magic was before. And considering her defenses are still 3-3-4, yeah, I think she's actually for a 3 threat Actually, a little bit above the curve. They've reordered the 2 attacks. So Soul Sword, the range 2 Mystic, 5 dice, which is her builder. That's got a pierce on a wild, which I believe was always in there. And then the Bolts of Oshter, her ranged attack, her gun, 4 dice energy attack, gainer. That now gets a crit wild hex trigger. A little bit of an awkward trigger to get on 4 dice. I don't know if they needed to make it quite so difficult there to get, but it didn't have any trigger before, so I'll welcome that change anyway, and to take that hex trigger is quite nice. Otherwise, Dark Child remains the same as far as I can see. Limbo Stip remains the same. Scrying Mirrors of Limbo. Now, the wording of this power is exactly the same as the Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo. All they've done is change the name of the superpower, which makes me think there's probably another magic coming down the line. We already had hints of this, assuming that there was going to be another one since the New Mutant leadership called out Ilyana Rasputin in particular rather than magic. The fact that they've changed the name from Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo, I would hazard a guess that AMG have got plans for a magic Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo down the line. There's nothing confirmed. It's just hyperbole at the moment, but that would make sense. That's why they're changing it, just to avoid confusion there. The final thing that Magic received, which if must I always thought she had, is immunity to Incinerate, which kind of makes sense considering her superpower journey through Limbo. Yeah, I think that's great. I think Magic's a brilliant character. Again, just a great buff for Apocalypse. She is a brilliant candidate for the War Horseman. I've seen a lot of great use out of that in the past. And as a leader for New Mutants, she certainly has got a little bit tanky now with her extra health. So perhaps she doesn't leave the field quite as quickly. Combine her with her brother Colossus. I don't believe Colossus is affiliated to New Mutants, but he's going to get an awful lot of movement now if he's getting teleported around, plus his updated big brother. I think that's a nice pairing in New Mutants there, and I'm excited to see how that faction fleshes out. Magic's other homes in Defenders and Convocation, yeah, I think she's still a brilliant addition there. That Dark Child attack is just brutal, and if she can get some decent power through Soul Sword or through Bolts of Oshter, yeah, I think Magic is still a brilliant character, and this is only a buff for her, and hopefully we see even more of her. So, who have we got next? I'm well aware I'm not going in order here, so apologies as I scroll through the document just to see who we've missed. So, let's Carnage. Yes, let's look at Carnage and then we'll return to the other wizards. So, Carnage, not a huge update here. So, similar to X23 and Angela, the timing on his Paint the Town Red has just been clarified that it is after the attack is resolved, is when you spend to pay to use a superpower, so he can gain power from using symbiote tendrils and then use the superpower to attack again, which is great. The other addition to this one that the other two didn't is that he now gets to add 2 dice to the symbiote tendrils attack, which is absolutely brilliant. So he's going to be consistently making 7 die attacks, I can see. They've bumped his health on the healthy side to 8. So in combination with his 5/1/1 defenses, I think even if he is facing mystic and energy attacks, they're going to need to be pretty big dice pools to churn through 8 health. Paint the Town Red, again, it still has that trigger for removing all the damage from him. So yeah, he could be a real problem for some forces. Just that extra health, clarifying when Paint the Town Red goes off and adding the 2 dice, he's going to be churning out a lot of dice. I say statistically is still just 2 power and allowing you to add 2 dice to your next attack. Yes, you'll suffer damage if any of the results contain a skull, but the hope is you're dazing or KOing people and you're healing that back off. At range 3 with the short advance from Paint the Town Red, yeah, I'm really quite excited to see Carnage. It's not a huge change to him. But again, it's a really good quality of life, and I think it's probably enough to see him on the board a bit more. I think he could be a real good choice under Goblin, where he's getting that extra reroll. Admittedly, it's only once per turn, so yeah. But it could be enough to get the damage through, to get that daze, that KO, also getting that power to do Paint the Town Red. Then you're getting another Symbiote Tendrils in there at range 3 against someone. Yeah, I'm excited to try out Carnage. I think they've done a really good job here. It didn't need a massive rewrite. I think he's just going to be an absolute bullet. Charge him down a flank on something like Infinity Formula and just make people have to deal with him. If they haven't brought energy or mystic attacks, they're going to struggle to get through there. If they have, with their 8 health on that front side, it's still going to take a fair bit to get through. Okay. And let's go look at some wizards now. So we spoke about the nice changes to magic. Let's talk about Doctor Strange. So we've got updates to 2 strangers here. So if we start with Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, because he hasn't had a huge update. His is simply his Eye of Agamotto has been updated so that it can now reroll dodge rolls. So it now reads, this character can modify and reroll skull results. When this character is attacking, defending, or dodging, it may reroll all of its dice. Remember, it's still all of its dice, not any of its dice. Has to reroll the entire dice pool. But that is quite handy. That gives a little bit more tankiness and means he's a little more resilient to those throws, which was always a little bit of an issue for the wizard. But otherwise, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme hasn't seen any other updates. Original Doctor Strange, however, he's had quite a bit of a change. So, let's have a look at him. First of all, the Eye of Agamotto is the same as I've just read for Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme. It's the same Eye of Agamotto, funnily enough. So he can now defend against dodges. They've also updated Hogarth's Hoary Wisdom to also allow him to add 2 dice for characters that are dodging. We can see a pattern here. We've realised that throwing in the game and dodging is quite important. So being able to defend against it is pretty good. I like this. It's a good change. It's still 2 power, still range 3, adding 2 dice in there. He's a really useful support piece. To add to that support piece, Oshta's Refuge, it's still 3 power. It's still removing up to 3 damage. However, it's now range 3. So again, that support element that Doctor Strange offers is still like just amplified even more. So he could be a real, this could be a real renaissance for the good Doctor here. I'm liking all these changes so far. They've also updated his Bolts of Bedevilment, which is his builder attack. It remains range 4, 5 dice. It's still an energy attack. I'd have liked to have seen that given the choice between energy and mystic, but can't get everything. And given a change that will come on to in a moment, also a little bit of a shame. But he's gained a Pierce on a shield. I'm conflicted about this, unfortunately. So Pierce is nice. It's always nice to get Pierce and to be able to affect your opponent's dice. And I get the thematics of it being on a shield. It's Doctor Strange. He's a support piece. He likes shields. His Shield of the Seraphim still exists so that he gains power if he rolls a shield. It's just not... It's like Jean Grey who does it on a skull. It's nice that you get it, but it's not really doubling down on the damage as such, because it's not a success in itself. Usually when you see it on a wild, that wild is a success, so you almost feels like you're getting 2 damage for that one. Pierce on a shield means that you're rolling 5 dice, you're still only getting to get the Pierce. You'll have only got 4 successes, excluding any crits. Or ultimately, you could even get the feel bad, like, oh, you roll 4 blanks and a shield, and it's like, oh, I've got the Pierce, but I've got nothing to pierce because I've not done any damage. So yeah, it's thematic, it's nice. I shouldn't complain too much. It is a change. It is more than he had. It will help get that damage through which ensures that push, which is, again, it's still a sizeless push. They haven't updated that, which is brilliant. So he's still pushing those sentinels about. He can push Dormammu about. That's thematic. Yeah. I would have liked to see it on a wild, but perhaps I'm asking too much. Crimson Bands of Stitterak, his spender, that hasn't been changed. Again, I'd have liked to have seen this go on to 7 dice. Perhaps I'm a little bit too much of a Doctor Strange fanboy. Perhaps I'm asking a bit too much. But for a 5 threat to only have a 6 dice spender for 4 power, it does cause an automatic stagger. But you've got a 3 threat in Black Cat that does that for 2 power. And the Mystic Binding, I guess, is the big one. The crit wild hit trigger that will inflict, or rather than activate it, rather than putting a stagger on them, it will give them their activated token. So I don't know. It's still a brilliant attack. Activating a big character at the right moment and denying them that activation can be absolutely crucial. He does have the full rerolls on it, so you can try and fish, but you do have to reroll everything. So you roll your 6 dice, you get the crit and the hit, but you're looking for the wild. You've got that big question to ask: am I going to use the Eye of Agamotto and reroll all? Do I get greedy there, or do I just take the stagger? I don't know. Is 7 dice for 4 power too much to ask on a 5 threat? I don't know. Would that have made him too much? Do the odds go up too much on Mystic Binding? Perhaps I need to look on Jarvis Protocol and just find out what the odds change to that to get that trigger. But I don't know. It's something. The other change on him is the leadership, and again, I don't know what to think about this. Before, it was once per turn, a character can choose the attack type, physical, energy, or mystic, for the cost of a power. If they did damage, they also inflicted the hex condition. We still have the second bit, but we lost the cool fun bit. That's why I said about the Belts Bedevilment. Would have been nice to be able to pick between mystic or energy, because we've lost that flexibility in the leadership of being able to choose our attack type. Now, however, so I'll read the actual leadership now. So once per turn, after an attack made by an allied character is resolved, if that attack dealt damage, or if the target character has a threat of 5 or more, then the attacking character may use this leadership ability. If they do, the target character gains the hex special condition. Okay, we're seeing a new mechanic. So if he's attacking, or an allied character is attacking a character with threat 5 or more, so we're going after the big guys, we're just going to do hex. Regardless of if we do damage, we just have to target them. Anyone else, we're going to hex them once per turn if we do damage. And we can pick that after we've done the attack. We don't have to pick before. So I guess that is a bonus on the old leadership. You kind of had to spend your power, pick your attack type, and hope that you did the damage to be able to get the hex. Now you can do the attack. If you don't do damage, you don't use the leadership. Attack again. If you do damage, I'm going to trigger the leadership. There you go, you're hexed. So, defenders, like, hex is a great condition, don't get me wrong. That's really going to help them in, like, 1, reducing the impact of attacks coming into them, and 2, obviously, being able to push through a bit more damage. So, I guess Strange, where I moaned about the 6 dice on his spender, if he's attacking into someone that's hexed, perhaps that's going to work in our favour, that the extra damage from the crits isn't going to be coming through. But overall, I feel they could have done more with this. I like that we're exploring new ground with the if we're attacking threat 5 characters or more. That's a nice realm that we can work in, and something new that we haven't seen from AMG in this game so far. I like that it's free and that we have the flexibility to trigger it as and when we want. Paying power previously for it was always a bit is it the best thing in the world? But I really liked that, and as we've seen, I think we've seen with Apocalypse with his builder being able to choose whatever attack type. Again, it kind of reflects that way of that. I don't know. I thought the mysticism was strange, and the pinpointing weaknesses within them by being able to go, right, I'm gonna, and like it was called Mystic Empowerment. We're going to empower your attacks and change what's coming at you to really pinpoint those weaknesses. I really enjoyed that bit on the few times that I played Strange and played that leadership. Offered a real flexibility. So I like this leadership. I just mourn the loss of that ability. We'll see how it goes. I can see it being really quite cool in that we can end up hexing a lot of characters. I guess the downside to it is that any characters that are immune to hex just nullify the leadership whatsoever, which is a bit of a feels bad. You have that, I guess, with the likes of Dracula and Mephisto's leaderships. Anyone that's immune to incinerate or immune to bleed just immediately nullify those leaderships. So yeah, I guess. Which again, I guess the first half of the leadership would have meant it was always still relevant. I guess you could say the same, like anyone that's got consistent, like attacking a Thor who's 4/4/4. Okay, that first part of the leadership changing the attack type isn't going to be relevant. But into say Web Warriors being able to swap all my attacks into Mystic, suddenly maybe that would have been overpowering. Who knows? Maybe just hexing Web Warriors is going to be enough. Time will tell. We'll try it out. I'll try not to be too down on it. Overall, though, I love the changes that Strange brings. I think he's going to be a massive boost to defenders. The fact that he can heal from a lot further. We haven't seen, ever since him and 1 came out, we haven't really seen much healing in the game. It's not something that AMG want in the game too much. And I can see why. Patch Up is a restricted card. They got rid of Med Pack. Battlefield Medicine exists only within Shield. But yeah, the fact that he can now heal from range 3, he's adding dice for his friends to dodge rolls now. He himself can reroll dodge rolls. Means he's going to be sticking around for longer. And his flip side, he's got an extra health, so he's probably a little bit above the curve. No, he's probably at the curve for a 5 threat at being a 6/7. Maybe a bit above the curve health wise for a 4 threat. He can still take the soul of the time gem. I think they're both a trap. I don't think you want this guy being a 6 threat, especially if he's going to be a leader. But again, play around. It's a great time to play around with these things. I'm quite excited to see him. I'm glad he got an update. I've got criticisms, obviously, as I've said. But perhaps I'm just asking too much. Perhaps I'm just being greedy. Perhaps that's just me being greedy. I can't wait to see him on the battlefield. And I've already got a few ideas for a Defenders roster with him in it. Which will also include our last character, Clea. So she's had quite a big overhaul here, which was needed. She was one of the least used characters in the game, and it's really great to see that she's got such a big update, and I think she's going to be quite useful in all of her affiliations now. So, first of all, really minor one, but really interesting one. Her alias is now Clea Strange. Previously, it was just Clea. Doesn't actually have any effect in the game at the moment, as far as I'm aware. I don't think there are any tactics cards that call on just her alias, but it's nice to see. Maybe that, again, similar to the magic thing, maybe that bodes for something in the future that we're going to see more Clea, a different version of Clea, than that will be Clea Strange as well. Perhaps there's a tactics card that will apply to Clea Strange and be used for both of them. Who knows? On her front side, she's also gained, like magic, a point of health, so she's now 6/5. Her health otherwise remains 2/3. Her defenses rather still remain 2, 3, and 4. So overall, that average spread of health, average spread of defenses rather. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. But slightly weaker to physical, stronger in Mystic. Kind of roots her in that convocation realm where you're using the Ironbound books to force everything into being Mystic attacks so she can roll a higher dice pool there. But in Defenders, she can now potentially get some extra dice on dodge rolls from her I guess, husband? Did she marry Doctor Strange, or did she take it? I think someone said somewhere that she just took the name Strange in honour of him rather than marrying. I'd have to look that up, or perhaps someone can write in the comments below why she's Clea Strange. Okay, attacks. So I don't believe her Demon Claws of Danak have changed. That's still a 4 dice range 3 gainer with the bleed on a wild trigger. The Icy Tendrils of Ichthalon. This has changed a fair bit. The triggers are a little bit easier to hit. So I believe previously the slow trigger was on a wild rather than a hit. The stun, I think, has remained the same on a hit and wild. The stagger is now only on a crit, hit, and wild. It used to have that 4th shield trigger as well. So yeah, this is really cool. She could be sending out quite a few conditions. Again, and this is what I say, like, moan about Strange. She's a 3 threat that gets a 6 dice spender that can, okay, yeah, it needs quite the trigger to just stagger someone, but it's that same trigger that Strange needs to activate. Ultimately, yeah, being able to slow, even if she just hits the slow and the stun, that's going to really hamper some people's day. Put her in Defenders, she can also send out the Hex with it. Descendants of the Faultine, this is the power that was previously exactly the same as original Red Skulls. Takes an action, and you roll 5 dice, or first of all you gain 3 power, then you roll 5 dice, and you would previously take a damage for each skull result in the roll. Now, it was fine on Red Skull because he had 6 health. You couldn't kill him. Not round 1 anyway. Clea, as unlikely as it was, had the possibility of just KOing herself if she used this power round 1. You could roll 5 skulls and she's just off the board because of something you did. They've changed it now, so it is just if there are any skull results, she suffers 2 damage. So even if just 1 skull result, she takes 2 damage. If you do roll all 5, you just take 2. To be fair, with the buff to her health on a healthy side as well, she wasn't going to one-shot herself. But this is a nice quality of life change. Yes, stings a bit if you do only get the 1 skull that you're taking 2 damage, but you're getting 3 power. And I think she's going to be quite a good support piece. And again, if you're running her with Strange, you could potentially heal that off. Or working with Wong as well, heal it off. Oshta's Mighty Hand. This is her throw. Again, remains unchanged as far as I can see. It's 3 cost. It's terrain feature or enemy character, both a size 2 or less. Within range 3, throw it short. Yeah, brilliant superpower. On a 3 threat to see. I really like that one, considering the fact she can generate 3 power. It does take an action to generate 3 power, but she could move, generate power, throw something. I always find that a really helpful ability to have in a character. Vapors of Dormammu. Now, this was what made her very similar to original Red Skull, in that she could place a character. I believe this is up from range 3 to range 4. The range that you need to be in for that character, and it's still placed within 2. So again, super useful power. Again, she can always generate the power to use this. She can use the Descendants of Faultine, gain 3 power, and position someone. So again, in Defenders, I mean, you could be launching a Hulk or an Immortal Hulk up the board. You tag her in with, say, a Man-Thing, who also has the same sort of power. You could be rearranging the board with those 2-3 threats. Could be brilliant. Some real turn 1 plays with this that I can see being set off. And now she's got a new superpower, Talons of Farala. So again, 3 threat. I think you're seeing a pattern with her superpowers here. They're all going to be designed around building power from this Descendants of the Faultine. When this character or another allied character within range 4 of this character makes an attack, during the create attack dice pool step, the character may use this superpower. The attacker adds 2 dice to its attack roll. If that attack deals damage and the defender has threat of 5 or more, we're seeing that new wording, that new style of writing in there for attacking high threat characters. After the attack is resolved, the defender gains a judgment special condition. This superpower can only be used once per turn. I really like this. So she can add 2 dice to attacks, or she can add 2 dice to a friendly model's attacks. And again, if you're attacking those big boys, you're going to start handing out a load of conditions. Like, how many conditions she... So you put her in Defenders Under Strain. She can hand out 1, 2, 3, 4. She can hand out 5 conditions to a character. She can hand out Bleed, Slow, Stun, Stagger, Hex, and Judgment. Yeah. No. That's 6? 6 conditions. Bloody hell. Yeah, she can hand out 6 conditions to someone. That's bonkers. Yeah, you've got to have some luck there, and you've got to have some power to do it. But actually, is that going to be that difficult to get? I mean, she wants... I think turn 2, you could be doing something pretty bonkers with this, couldn't you? You start with 1 power. You move up round 1, do the claws. You start round 2 with 3 power. You descend to the 14, gain 3 power. That's your 6 power that you want to be able to then do the Icy Talons along with the Talons of Farala. It's range 4, so it's going to be tough for them to hide from you. That's an 8 die. At that point, it's an 8 die Mystic attack. Yeah, getting those, I think this could be quite cool. Yeah, you could get 5 conditions on a Kaiju there. You slow them, stun them, stagger them, judge them, and hex them if you're under defenders. You may well have bled them the previous turn if you did the claws into them. Yeah, I really like Clea. Yeah, she's a 3 threat. She's going to probably get beaten up pretty quickly. She's got an immunity to Incinerate still. I think she's had that from before. Yeah, that power makes her really interesting. And I could see... Yeah, I think I can see her being used a lot more. I'm really quite excited to try her out, especially under Doctor Strange. So yeah, that is all our characters, guys. Let me know your own thoughts. Again, I think there's some big changes to some of these characters. Some of them have only had some really minor changes. Overall, positive upgrade for the game. Yes, as everyone said, I think there's a lot of characters in here that there are a lot of characters that I think people were hoping to see in here. Personally, I was hoping to see something for War Machine, something for Hulkbuster. But I do get that AMG have said they're kind of rolling these out as they're updating all the boxes. So if you take a look at the timeline that was announced at the Adepticon presentation, I think we can kind of get an idea now of when we're going to see these character releases. So looking at these ones, these are all the characters that are coming out in the box. Though the Defenders box comes out next month. The Criminals box comes out at the same time. That covers your Doctor Strange, and that covers your Bullseye that we've had updated there. We've got the X-Men and Spider-Foe's big affiliation boxes coming out very soon as well. So that covers your like Magic and Colossus there. Nightcrawler updates, so they'll all be packaged in these boxes. I assume there is a Convocation one that I might have missed. I know there is there's the Web Warriors one that's got Amazing Pete, Spider-Woman, Agent Venom, and Black Cat in the box with Scourge, Angela, Heimdall, and Enchantress. So that, again, makes sense as to why we're seeing the updates for these characters. We've got the print and play for Ghost Rider, who recently came out in the Guardians box. So yeah, it makes sense why we're seeing these characters, and hopefully we'll see in the next 6 months, we'll see the next round of characters. They've already announced that Mr. Sinister is underway. So we'll see what comes in those ones. Any that are here that are not here that I kind of wish that... I think Magneto is probably the main one that they could have included, that I feel they could have included and needed a little bit of change. And so I'm now doubtful that we're going to see a change for Magneto, unfortunately. But who knows, maybe some stuff around him will help him. We've seen the cards for Exodus, Lady Mastermind, and Avalanche. And if you want me to do a review of those ones, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts as well. And perhaps I'll put that up here later on as well. Yeah, overall, super happy with this. I've got some ideas for a defender's roster with like Strange, Clea, and just throwing stuff from range and hexing people all over the place, which I want to try out at my next game night. I'll let you guys know how that goes as well. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this hasn't been too much of a ramble, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.